Do you want to say something about the Adam campaign?
Yeah.
Okay. And I'll just say great information. Okay.
We're good to proceed, Mayor.
Welcome all to this meeting of April 25th of the East Bears Council. And on that note, Madam Clerk, we will proceed with the adoption of the agenda.
Here, a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Champagne and seconded by Councillor Kelly, that the draft agenda presented to council and dated the 25th day of April 2023 be adopted as prepared.
All in favor? Well, thank you so much. So we do have an in-camera session this evening. And so on that note, I do want to mention that Councillor Trana is absent this evening and he sends his regrets. And so we will proceed now with accepting the minutes of the previous meeting.
I require a seconder, moved by Deputy Mayor Royer and seconded by Councillor Champagne, that the minutes of the council meeting held April 11, 2023 be adopted as circulated.
All in favor? C'est bon, carried, thank you so much. Any business arising from the minutes? There being none, any declarations of conflict of interest or pecuniary interest thereof? There being none, chair's comments. Last week was the Ontario Good Roads Association, and the municipality of East Bears had a good delegation and was at this meeting, and I'd just like to open it up and turn it over to my colleagues, both the Deputy Mayor Riacker and Councillor Champagne. If there are any comments that you would like to make, this might just your overall thoughts of the conference and what you took away.
Yeah, first of all, is that the new branding, it's not called Ontario Good Roads Association, it's just called Good Roads.
Wait.
They changed it this year because it got too complicated. People were calling it Orga, Orby, or anyway, short form, they just kept with Good Roads, and the branding has all been done, it's all been changed. So any documentation you see from now on, it should be called Good Roads. I had the opportunity to, well, invite myself, I guess, through our municipality for Remembering Adam campaign. Care Ranger was able to speak. It was kind of ironic, as he said, he went to a lot of places where he had an opportunity to speak. But when I brought him into the Canadian room, he didn't realize there was going to be that many people.
Yeah.
So anyway, he was quite shocked with the size of the room and the people were there. He had his 10 or 15 minutes that he spoke, and not that it was a dry eye in the house, but there was only 2 standing ovations the whole week, and one was for Doug Ford and the other was for Remembering Adam. So it was people actually understand what it's about now. Anybody north of Barrie didn't really understand what Remembering Adam was all about. They all know about the cameras, they all know about the yellow light on the school buses, but they didn't realize it was through their campaign that happened, and Mike Harris Jr., that the yellow lights in the school buses were put in place because of him. And now that he's had an opportunity after, like we do at all conferences, it's after the sessions are over, and we started talking to people and started brainstorming, and so many people come over and said, we didn't understand what it was all about, but now we understand, and so there'll be a lot of good things coming out of it. So it was really nice to see, and there's what he represented Adam very well. So, and like everything else, we had the opportunity to brainstorm with other councillors and other municipalities that have the same problems that we do, or they see something that we do different. And brainstorming at those things is great, and that's the opportunity to talk to other people. That's all I have for now. Lauren?
Yeah, he spoke very well, and it was very touching. The story that he had to tell, and it was wonderful. Lots of great information. I took lots of notes again, and I met lots of wonderful people, and talking about different problems, and didn't know that you could have 4 days talking about roads. I think that's a new thing for me. So very interesting day or week. Yeah.
And the vendors that are there too, and you get to see the different things, and what software is available, things you can actually see in front of you. And I'm like you, I don't like just looking at things, I like talking to people, and it's so much easier, so much better.
My congratulations to the municipality of East Ferris, in particular, Councilor Campaign, for the work that you've done for the Adam campaign. You have been a driving force in raising his profile in the province of Ontario. And so a lot of credit to you for, I'm sure that did occur at the OGRA meeting that the actor said was just excellent. So well done. And now good, it's, and I know that there's also, and our engineer is still a member, I believe, of the Good Roads Association, is that the first vice president, so well done to all involved. And I do also want to mention that I was so impressed this week, I haven't written about it, but on Facebook, on the municipal social media, there was a number of announcements that came out back to back. The first one was the announcement of the grant that we received for the electrical hookups, and I don't yes, if you'd like to maybe just mention a quick word on that.
Yes, so staff, specifically Greg, put an application through to Earth Day Canada. Through Aviva, I guess, a program, and it was for EV stations. So we're got funding of $29,120 to do 2 EV stations here at the municipal office. So we were one of 7 municipalities that got funding. And when we built this building, we had ran the conduits to a location, a parking lot for future hookup of EV. So that was already done in advance. So it's nice, yeah.
Well done.
So just a question, is that gonna be free or is it you have to pay for that?
We're gonna send you the invoice. So we're still going through. No, the idea is that the user would be the one that has to pay for it, but we're looking at kind of what the setup's gonna be on how to go about doing that, I guess.
No, it's a great idea, I'm just making sure that people are listening, saying, oh, geez, I go plug in for free.
Yeah, one thing as well is there's 2 kinds of systems. There's a quick charge and one that's longer. Ours is the longer one. The quick charge is about what, 3 times the price, Greg, or 4?
Yeah, if not more.
If not more. So instead of charging for just say half an hour, it's closer to what, 7 hours for a full charge.
Yeah, it depends on the type of vehicle, but it is well within the hours, like it's not the type of thing you could come and stop by and use, but this grant specifically only covered level 2 chargers, which is what we received, so it wasn't possible to get fast chargers, but this could work well for like a future municipal vehicle or if someone's needing to park for a long period of time here.
Yeah, I think it's more of a convenient thing that if you've got, I'll give you an example, you've got somebody that comes to town to visit you. You don't have an EV, like you don't have an electric vehicle at home, they're not able to charge at your house. Well, there's a spot at least in the community where they could get a charge, right? It's more of a convenient piece. It's not somebody who lives in the town is gonna come here all the time and charge because they would have their own hookup at home, right? So,
Funny you said, because one of the booths that were at, they had them set up at arenas, because people travel. Right?
Yeah.
And that's where they had, even summer for summer stuff.
Yeah, this is also a strat plan. I didn't know. I don't know the exact wording of the strat plan, but it was to
I believe it was to research the feasibility of electric vehicle stations and stuff like that,
So we've gone beyond that.
We've gone beyond
Yes.
it could be in the future that there's another program and we get a couple more hookups at the arena, and then we look at, another municipal facility where we put a couple more hookups.
Anyway, all these grants, they take time to complete, so when we do get them, it's always nice to mention them. I also noted the participation grant that we received, $5,000, and so for June, that's going to help us to promote physical activity in our community. And I would also always like to note the good work by Madam Rose. It's just wonderful, the quality of the posts that we have. Well done, just well done. It's nice. It makes a difference. Communication is important, that it be well organized, and it's well done, so. Actually, I do want to touch on one of those. I don't know if it was on social media, but it went to every house in the community. This was really well done, and so I know that, I know this is a large initiative of, a significant initiative for Councillor Trahan. He's not here this evening, but it is definitely an initiative of our council. but it's certainly one that he always has at heart. So this is the East Airs Community Cleanup Day, and it's on Tuesday, May 9th. And I believe that there's a listing of potentially some of the other organizations in our community to take part in this event. Is that, I believe?
We actually reached out, well, Kim did to the two schools. So the two schools are doing their own activity in terms of cleaning up. And what the municipality is gonna do is offer up pizza, lunch for those schools.
That's awesome. And so basically, we're all encouraged to go out and to clean like our roads, our ditches, whatever's around us, however far you wish to spread your effort, that's all good. But it's, I think it's an excellent activity. And then on that Saturday is what we call Amnesty Day at the East Fairs landfill, like that's on Saturday, May 13th. And it says residents of East Fairs are entitled to 1 free load of yard waste. Now, is that clippings and brush and,
Yard waste, yeah,
yard waste, okay?
yeah.
At the landfill located on First of Road.
So,
May 13th.
May 13th, which is Saturday.
Yep.
What day is our thing at the arena?
The 27th.
27th.
Well,
Yeah. One thing to note as well, Mayor Rochester, is the prizes, $1,000.
Oh, no, I hadn't noticed that. Oh, yeah.
Same as in previous years, we've got prizes for $1,000.
Yes.
Also, any residents that want to pick up garbage bags, we've got some available at the front desk, municipal office,
Okay.
to hand out for free. Unless, you know, people want to use their own bags, that's fine as well. But we've got some to hand out.
Oh, that's really wonderful. So, so $1,000 in prizes, and at the back, this information is always so useful. You know, it does specify, what you can bring to the landfill, and so it's very well done.
is there a road that people don't go on? Because I always do it down
Yeah.
where I used to live. I would clean up our road, which is a very busy road, and have like about 6 wheelbarrows full of garbage from our road that I was getting rid of. So is there a road?
Now, the
that
major-
nobody picks?
The major roads, like, for example, that come into the community, like Lake Wisconsin Road would be one where there's not many houses.
Right.
Yes.
And places like that, or even Quakeway Road, or some of the major thoroughfares where there's not
Yeah.
homes would be spots that to consider.
I know there's a few ladies on my personal drive from Santana Crescent that walk it and.
Really?
Yeah,
It's really,
well, over on Quick Fire Road, Mr.
yes, at the corner of the Quakeway and the farm fire. Yeah.
I still remember back in the days when Skip used to do it at Wheelers. He's getting the kids all come out on Saturday, give them all, used to do all like, say road. They all get hot dogs and 3 hot dogs on Friday.
Counselor Kelly remembers.
Yeah.
Can you hear us okay? Yes, okay.
Yes, I just find it's easy. The volume is better if I mute myself. That way the volume comes this way. So I'm good, thank you. But I do remember that, Rick, you're right. That's old time adventures for the children, and it's a little reward for doing something for the community.
On my note, we talked about roads, and it's all fitting the same thing, and we can have a delegation from someone who's coming to speak to us about roads. So Mr. Bob Warren, from the County Road, is often with us. Come and join us, and I believe Matt Hurt has shared with you how his delegation work. So we welcome you to think of our work notes. Mayor and council. Both making sure about following our bid by concern commitment. Info first. Area road is not plowed. 15, 20, 27 meters of snow. All the roads, firefighters and 17. Wow. In that remind we have two of them. And then April 6th, the grader arrived after the second snow. and tried to plow over the rut, the ice rut, and all these because we didn't feel the ice off. Not from, the spot. And then April 12th, later showed up again, and he's trying to clear the frozen road. Just happened to be at the mailbox, and he couldn't do it because the road was frozen. He's thin. And the ditches were full of ice, snowbanks on both sides of the road. I have no idea what it's doing. 10 days, April 12th, a whole township and left a message to someone's phone. And this time, someone going to my call. And I guess the last item, April 21st, the loader with the power broom was at the intersection of Centennial and Carrier and Person. And he cleaned one half of the intersection. The Person side, not the Carrier Road side. I was actually standing in the front watching one half of the car. You know why? It's a bit help itself. I'm not just driving from the city of the road. The tires have been put in the time, and years working on that computer. In the greater school, participated in the greater school. I know what I'm talking about. That's it. Yeah, but the thing is, okay, more than one plow button. I'm just off. So he didn't plow, but the other trucks in the city, something that happened, they would have sent someone else. No, nobody was ever looking down until, a week later, and it was a mess. There was what? And the other time, he was involved. Found out what, every April 1st was started. If the power truck broke down, normally that's what we did. If it broke down on it, it was should have been able. Oh, I'm heard, everything was good, and it seemed like it, happened to turn to April, and. I don't know all that, we'll get that. Yeah, and I said, like you can imagine, it was a mess. Goes up and about the first time. School bus, not a wide road, especially. So they're going to 18. And so basically, they're saying. It happened once before, 10 years ago, the bears come up and basically, and trying like this too. I don't know why. No. This is not what happened, but I said this when I was on the council, 20 years. I remember when the road never got done, but the two people on the road. I regret it saying that over. I gotta repeat my mind. No, but, it just seemed like April, when the town was in April, and didn't work out. This year. Thank you very much for coming, and, yes, we want to speak to it. No, I wasn't trying to go on one on the second hole, but Western Marathon. I'm not. No, rules and. Remember important to us to take some very seriously. Yeah, they make a mistake. Yeah. This will be and I don't know the rules really before. So public works department can mention it. Running an advisory committee, there was two sets of minutes that were found. The minutes of the planning, advisory committee, and the committee of justice. I think it's one more problem.
I think it was pretty straightforward, just Lakeshore road allowance, which is going to be coming up on a regular basis, both the islands and on both of our lakes. I'm not so sure about Trout Lake, but I know Nosbonsing's got a few issues. And obviously the islands on Trout Lake, it's important because it's been, some of the islands back in the day were owned by close friends, same as Mayor Rochford in front of your house in your neighborhood. There was a lot of relatives that owned adjacent properties. It was never an issue. Now the properties have been sold and people want to own the land they have in front of them. So, and we've set some precedences and it has not been a problem so far. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Riakers, any comments, addition?
No, that's a good summary.
Okay, Councillor Champagne, any questions, comments? No, c'est bon, okay. And there's a resolution, yes, but you proceed, Madam Clerk.
Thank you. I require a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Kelly and seconded by Deputy Mayor Verdier. Whereas no public input was received at the public meeting of the Planning Advisory Committee held April 19, 2023, and whereas a request has been received by James and Christine Ware to close and purchase the original shoreline road allowance abutting 664 Hemlock Island. And whereas bylaw number 2015-35 provides policies and procedures for the disposition of shoreline road allowances in the municipality of East Ferris. And whereas the request to comply with the policy set out in bylaw number 2015-35, be it hereby resolved that council approves the recommendation from the Planning Advisory Committee meeting held April 19, 2023, under resolution number 2023-15, and approve the request made by James and Christine Ward to close and purchase the original shoreline road allowance abutting 664 Hemlock Island, and proceed in accordance with applicable regulation, policies, and procedures set out in bylaw number 2015-35.
All in favor? C'est bon, carried, thank you so much. On that note, there was a meeting of Committee of Adjustment. Unless there's any questions, we're going to proceed. C'est bon, oui,
There's two errors in the minutes that I think we should change.
okay,
Under 8B on page 3,
That's
8B
the minutes,
COA. The paragraph that starts, Mr. Curtin, in there it says North Bay Conservation Authority commented that they had two concerns. TO, it should be no concerns. I don't want the public getting confused that, is it no or is it TWO? So we should address that.
so, and it should be.
No concerns.
Okay.
So that's 8B. Because I think we can go back and change the minutes of COA, but as long as we document in the minutes that there was no concerns. And then under section, just back to it, there's a second one that does the same. Okay, so on page 5, first paragraph at the top, says Mr. Kirk advised that the MTO commented that this application is outside the jurisdiction. Conservation Authority commented that there's ample room for a septic system. They had two concerns, TO, which should be no concerns. Good.
okay. Recreation, Parks and Culture Committee, and the minutes were circulated just to, it was a good meeting. And I know this evening we will go into in camera just to approve the nomination of volunteers. But to mention that we reviewed the mandate letter for the committee. This mandate letter, there are two that were handed out to two committees of council. One is the Economic Development Committee, and the other one is this particular committee. And so it's basically it gives direction in terms of what we want to focus on that ties into the strategic plan. So that was really well done. And I do want to mention that right currently open in our municipality are the nominations for two awards, and one that we have to decide on how we're going to move forward with. But certainly open right now is the Sports Hall of Fame nomination period. It will run until August. And basically this is, as we know, our Hall of Fame is at the East Ferris Community Center upstairs. It's a beautiful wall of fame. And so currently there's an opportunity to submit nominations. And online on the municipal website, the criteria are very clear. It's very well detailed. You can Google Sports Hall of Fame East Ferris, and you'll have there all of the criteria and the process and so on. But there's also an annual sports recognition program. So there are two. One is a lifetime, but the other one is on an annual basis. And there's more opportunity for annual recognition. And I was just thinking of, we've had some teams recently that have won major championships in the province of Ontario. So that would be an example of And so it's not just one person, it could be a team, and so on. So encourage people to go and look at that. But we're also, as part of the work that we're going to be doing is as well, a lifetime achievement award. That had been brought up by council, and it's now something we need to further flesh out. But we're hoping to have it as well running this summer so that it could form part of the nominations that are accepted come August and September. So those 3 items are out there. I did want to mention the beautification project. That's our, as we know, council directed this particular committee and a subcommittee that's given themselves the name beautification project to develop a plan for parks, for parkland in our province, in our municipality. It includes certainly the pocket parks that we had talked about. And so this committee has now met twice, this group, and basically they're running full steam. They basically want to develop a plan that'll be coming forward to council, hopefully by December. But as part of that is the horticultural activity. They basically said that parks and horticulture go together. It's like bacon and eggs. I think they said at the meeting, you can't have eggs without bacon, so they go together. So, so that as well is moving forward. And there's going to be a meeting on June 20th at the Anglers and Hunters Club, and volunteers are being invited to attend. And that is to start this year with some further beautification activity in our municipality. So people that love to garden and that want to learn, I want to meet people that are the same mind, are of interest, that this would be a great opportunity. There's going to be promotion coming out on this to inform citizens of that opportunity on June 20th at the Anglers and Hunters. And so basically there's collaboration as we work together. It's with the Memorial Park Gardeners. So it's all of our community coming together to see how can we broaden what everyone has loved. We've all loved what we've seen here at Memorial Park. So how can we have more of that and distribute it throughout our municipality? So that's what's underway. So I think that that's all very positive. And that brings us to the South Shore Boat Launch, because certainly part of the park plan is how do we develop a long-term vision, park vision for that particular parcel of land that we've purchased on the south of Lake Nosbonsing. But I think everyone's very delighted to hear that it's gone forward. They started the work. I don't know, Mr. Curtin, if you would like, Mr. Let's see if you want to say a word on that, or just quickly to say how things. I understand that trees are being cut when we've had the permits. We've received all
Yeah,
the
permits are received except for the Department of Fisheries and Oceans. And the trees have been harvested, so the trees have been cut down and removed. That's where we're at right now. Then the rest of the work we're going to discuss at the budget time.
Correct. So there've been, I think we've gone before to the Anglers and the Hunters. There's been meetings, so things are moving forward and further discussion. So well done. We also received funding for organizing Canada Day in June 24th. Activities in our community. So we're very happy about that. We will hear more about what's being planned in the weeks to come. But certainly we know that June is Participation Month in East Ferris. And as part of that, we have pickleball clinics that are going to be going on. They're going to be free, these pickleball clinics. And those are on June 10th. They're being organized by the municipality. And so June 10th, free pickleball clinics. There is a pickleball tournament, an open tournament that's first in our area for our municipality on June 23rd. That's and there's going to be prizes for that. And then there's the senior games on June 24th. So there's lots that's being planned for that time of the year, and we'll hear more about that as we move forward. The signage program, I do want to mention that, Mr. Curtin, it was on our agenda. We didn't discuss it, but it is a signage program at the East Ferris Community Center, and that was to pursue the work that had been started by the previous committee on enhanced signage or opportunities for more sponsorship type signage at the East Ferris Community Center. So that was the item we didn't get to, but I did want to mention it just because it was some of the work that Councillor Champagne had been involved with. I do want to mention that the East Ferris kitchen renovations are almost complete, and the council saw pictures this week, part of our weekly report. It's really nice work, and we look forward to the opportunity for the public to be able to see the work. But certainly this particular committee is going to hold its July meeting at the upstairs at the East Ferris Community Center, so they can see the work.
So they'll be done shortly
This week.
this week I'll do it because there's a thing next week. The, Friend Club got their big, dance and buffet and dinner and happening
Road,
next Saturday.
with Roadhouse.
Yeah,
Yes, so this is the curling club that's having their annual, bond, yeah,
Year-
end year.
here,
Do they normally not have it at the curling club?
yeah, they've got, like, there's a band thing.
The Roadhouse are playing, and they have,
They got 120 people.
I'm not aware of the event.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
I guess it's been more so for their membership and, you'll have to start curling this year. Yeah.
Well, I'm just wondering if it's even been booked, because we would have probably said, maybe the kitchen's not ready, so that's what I'm kind of wondering.
Yeah, I think it's been booked, but I mean.
It's been booked for 2 months.
Yeah,
Love to see.
Yeah.
we can confirm tomorrow.
Yeah. yeah, it's a major event, it's a good point you make. And then just to finish, summer programming is underway and I think it's going very well from what I understand. They already have a good registration for soccer. And so on that note, that's the report, and we're going to look at volunteer nominations in our in-camera, but a very good meeting. I was absolutely delighted by the discussion. Any comments or questions?
I guess one, Mayor Holsham.
We really.
So, somebody was asking me about the participation, and I think that the grand prize is
$100,000.
and,
Yes.
and we're wondering about if there is already ideas about how that money would be spent.
Well, it goes towards sports events, like, and so there are certain criteria that are attached to the grant, but basically, no, it would be up to the community together to decide. And certainly, so yes, at that point, that's where we're at, no further than that, but we will be interested in ideas. So I'm really glad whoever asked that, that's someone that's thinking we've got to be number one.
Okay.
And that means number one in Canada. So that's good thinking. Encourage that person. So on that note, we'll proceed to economic development. I know but the trade show continues to move along. That's from May 27th, Saturday, May 27th. And it was good to see the memo that circulated with the good results for sponsorship and booths. And so I think that's all excellent. Board reports, there's been no board meetings. However, any comments, specific comments with respect to Castle Home, DSAB, the health unit, they're welcome at this point.
Help you know our meetings tomorrow night.
Did we pass the resolution ourselves on food security? We did.
Yes.
I was, for some reason, I couldn't remember. We did that last,
Not last
the
week.
meeting
Week
before. Okay, yeah, yeah, okay. Thank you. There being no further comments on those items, we will move to departmental reports where we have 4. Councilor Kelly, yes, do proceed.
Thank you. I have a DSAP meeting tomorrow, so if the 3 meetings and they start at noon. So if anybody has any concerns or questions and looking at the future, I make a report after the meetings, obviously, but if they have any ideas or thoughts, I'll be home in the morning, so please give me a call. Thank you. Thank you. The communication is a little spotty. I can hear you most of the time, and sometimes it's breaking up. So I'm also putting it out there that the DSAB meetings are on Zoom, and there's no problem with communication. So hopefully, when we get our communication set up, they'll be of the same quality, because it's really at times anybody who's used it knows it's not the best. That's for sure. We're doing what we can. I know there's issues with, with supply. So, but once they come in, it would be advantageous to make sure we've got a really good system. Thank you.
I think it's going to tell you just to mention that the early on program now move from that to
Sorry, Mayor Rochford, I really couldn't hear anything. I think I got one word out of all you were talking earlier. I could understand everything you were saying concerning the Parks and Rec, but right now there's nothing coming through. It's really, it's hit and miss. I just heard now. I just heard the word now.
Okay,
Yeah.
then I'll send you an email.
So if any questions at all, give me a call, please. Okay. Thank you.
She's gonna send you an email.
Okay, that I heard perfectly. Thank you. Yeah, maybe it's just the volume of the voice. I don't know, but I'm not the first person to talk about the problems with communication.
I apologize, I should have said Mayor Rochford, we'll send you an email.
C'est bon, it's all good. Thank you.
See that come through perfectly. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So on that note, we'll move to departmental reports. And I think I turn it over to Mr. Trottier to guide us through that.
Okay, so the first report, Antoine's actually gonna present it. So we sent out an RFP for winter sand, so go ahead, Antoine.
Do you want to join us, Mr. Boucher?
One thing to notice, well, the Curling Club event is this weekend, it's May 6th.
That's it next week.
Okay, so that's why I was saying it's this weekend.
No, that's why I said it's next weekend.
Yeah.
C'est bon. Okay. Bon, bonsoir, good evening.
Madam Mayor, good to meet you today. So yes, we have we went ahead with some tenders, RFQs, and the first one that we discussed today is actually the results of the winter sand. So the winter sand tender is tender EF 2023-02. We had 3 submissions that we received. And we've analyzed them just to look at the air emissions. There were none found. So the number as open as red are shown in the analysis down below of your report. We had Room and Construction at 82,377. We had Miller Paving Rock Bait at 91,462 and 20. And we had Topsoil at 56,952. And these numbers included the HST. In this particular case, the recommendation is to award to the low bid. Which is in this case, Neon Topsoil Limited for the 2023. This is enough to provide us for the refilling of winter sand within our building, within our dome. One of the things that we'll do is we will monitor and have a look at the material itself, because we always do a visual inspection of it. At the same time, we also have a clause, because we'd like to get that replenished and refilled in the building into the summer months. So that those are conditions of the tender document.
Are we going to do?
We can do his 3 reports and then do his 3 resolutions.
Okay.
If that works for council.
Any questions before we move from this report?
How many tons was that on, right?
So we have an amount of 5,500 ton, which is basically part of the tender. There's also an additional 500 tons, which is provisional. I believe by the time we fill the building, we're this year probably going to be using the full complete total of 6,000 tons.
Yeah.
The difference of 500 being above that 56,000.
It's all inclusive, all of
So 6,000 tons is the 56,952?
That's right.
Okay, so not 5,500.
That's right.
That's what I thought you said, previously, so
Yeah.
I can make. Okay.
The next report?
So the next report that we have is report 2023-04. This one is basically a request for quote and RFQ that we do jointly with the municipality of Longfield. In this particular case, it's for the purchase of liquid dust control. So that's the material that we apply on gravel roads to prevent dust during the summer months. We received 2 responses. One from Daily Dust Control for a grand total of $175, $279 and 95 cents. The second one was from Polar Highway Products, which was $148, $14.18. There's a little reference that it's 35% NaCl, that's sodium product calcium, and then basically the grand total of that is for the 2 municipalities. So our share of that is of a lesser value, it's about 37 some percent out of that quantity. So therefore, the recommendation reads that the quote EF 2023-01 for the supply and application of dust control and road stabilization materials be awarded to, in this case, the low bidder, Pollard Highway product in the amount of $55,263.78, including HSE for the volume that is required for the municipality spares.
Who had it last year?
Actually, in the past few years, it's been pretty much consistently Pollard Highway product.
Okay.
Relatively a 10% increase from the previous years, and that's kind of reflects the market.
Bon, next report.
So the next report is a bit more particular. It's a document that we have this year that we have not done in many years in the past. So the idea is to do an inventory. It's a little bit like an OSIM report for bridge inspections. We have all of our bridges done, but as far as culverts, we're looking at doing inventory and also an assessment, a rating, and basically doing a geolocalization to know exactly where we are, so we create a layer that we can import back into our GIS. In this particular case, we have some funding because we're working with FCM. So there's a portion of this cost that will be basically coming from funds that we have allocated, we were allocated, I should say. Submission were submitted to at least 8 consultants, and 4 bids were received. The report was analyzed for error emissions. Again, none were found. In the order of the opening, we had Tulloch Engineering that submitted 2 proposals. In this case, it might lead to confusion, but there's a mandatory part. The mandatory part is actually referring to, and I'll just clarify, to only the roads that we maintain. So we're not doing private roads, but what it is for the mandatory is actually to inventory and ID all of the culverts that exist on those roads. This is based on an established quantity that we assume based on samples that we've done on some of our roads. So we established that it'd be about 390 culverts that would be evaluated. Tulloch provided an inventory cost at $213,103.25. McIntosh Berry also submitted a price for $72,412. EXP submitted for $136,445, and DM Wells Associated Limited submitted for $89,440. They were analyzed as well for basically a scoring process evaluation of understanding the project, understanding our expectation, and how they would qualify. And when we evaluated the pricing in comparison with those other evaluations, we had McIntosh Berry scoring with the higher score. So the recommendation in this particular is to award to McIntosh Berry to start doing the inventory of the work, so that the RFP proposal 2023-03 for the preparation of a culvert needs to be awarded to McIntosh Berry with an offset limit of $72,412 before taxes, and that the work be limited to road culverts located on municipally maintained roads, more specifically excluding driveway culverts.
A couple of questions, well, 2-part question. I know we've done this in the past, but we've done it with a student, but we only did, we searched for culverts, we didn't do elevation, the length of pipe, like we're doing this time, correct?
So you're right, what was done in the past, going over 15 some years ago, so there's been again a lot of changes in 15 years, many culverts are new. 14 some years, I think 14, 15. So what we did back then is we actually located the ends and identified the size of the culverts, but not really going into depth, because this will become part of also the asset management plan. So once we evaluate the actual condition rating based on engineered evaluation rating, because we've established certain aspects. So these consultants will be going further into depth. They'll evaluate the rating of those culverts. And based on that, we will establish the replacement timelines of what we need to replace first versus maybe in 10 years from today. And also we'll be establishing in-house we'll be assisting them in that, but evaluating like a cost, a replacement cost.
So at the end of the day, then it'd be good when you do grant applications that we know what conditions our pipes are in, like the pipe and so on.
That's right.
But so basically, we got $50,000, and our share is like 22,000, is that correct? Correct. That's all I have.
No, it's a good question. What are the timelines on this?
This one is actually very, it's gonna be a fast project. Once we are enrolled, if we award, once we award, then, we'll establish a start date into the month of May. We're targeting a completion in the field by mid-June. And, once the completion is done, then the report follows, and that's gonna complete that project.
Or our asset management plan, what are our timelines? I can't remember the strategic plan. Do we have it for this year or next year?
We're tackling it this year.
We're
Yeah.
taxing it, okay,
Yeah, and this is one of the big elements.
yes.
We completed the road need study, so the road need study is done. This is completed, we'll tackle some of the buildings. So we're trying to wrap up many elements of that asset management plan.
Very good. That's a very good question too as well for the funding that we've received. So when you apply the 50,000, it means 23,000, just a little about. So that's very good. Well, any further questions on this? Excellent. Is that the fourth?
Third.
The third,
So
so
there was
Yeah,
three
but-
resolutions.
Three resolutions.
First, so we can go with these first.
sweet, that would be great.
So I require a mover and a seconder for the winter sand, moved by Councillor Champagne and seconded by Councillor Kelly. That council for the municipality of East Ferris accepts the recommendation from the municipal engineer contained in report number R 2023-03 and approve that tender BF 2023-02 for winter sand in the amount of $56,952, including HST, be awarded to Amiral Topsoil Limited for 2023.
On favor? The bond carried, thank you so much.
For the dust control, a mover and a seconder. Deputy Mayor Verleger and seconded by Councillor Fine.
Or keep waiting for
That
Terry.
council for the municipality of East Ferris accepts the recommendation from the municipal engineer contained in report number R 2023-04 and approve the request for quotes EF 2023-01 for the supply and application of dust control and road stabilization materials to be awarded to Polar Highway Products in the amount of $55,263.78, including HST for the volume required by the municipality of East Ferris.
On favor? C'est bon, thank you so much.
The next one would be the culvert needs study, so over in secondary, over by Councillor Champagne and seconded by Councillor or Deputy Mayor Verleger. The council for the municipality of East Ferris accepts the recommendation from the municipal engineer contained in report number R 2023-05 and approve the request for proposal EF 2023-03 for the preparation of culvert needs study to be awarded to McIntosh Perry with an upset limit of $72,412 before taxes, and that the work be limited to road culverts location on municipally maintained roads, more specifically excluding all driveway culverts.
On favor? C'est bon? Doesn't carry. Thank you very much, good work. And we look forward in the, we have just a quick thing while we're on public works, the garage, at some point, we will have an opportunity to go there as a council to.
Yes, we can set up a tour.
Yes, that would be great, great,
When
okay.
would you like to go?
Well, in the next few weeks.
Next week or the week after? Next week, we got 3 days of collective bargaining, Wednesday to Friday. It's likely not to go 3 days, but we put it aside.
Okay,
What day is better of the week?
Week after.
the week after? The week after, yes, yes. Okay. C'est bon, so on that note, we move with, I got the fourth report.
Yeah. Okay, Mayor Rochford, so report to council. This is regarding a request for proposal for consulting services for pay equity compensation review. This item dates back to the last term of council. we had discussed the need to proceed with this this type of study. We had budgeted funds for the last 2 budget cycles to proceed with it, but we ran into the pandemic and then other issues in terms of, you know, this building being constructed, the garage catching on fire and other items, so we had put it aside. So this year we proceeded with it. We had, so on March 20th, we released the RFP. And then it closed on April 11th. We had 2 consulting firms, Pesci and Associates, as well as Gallagher Benefits Service Canada, submit pricing, as indicated in the report. This one, because it's an RFP, it's not evaluated just based on cost. It's an overall submission. So if you can see under the analysis, 25% is awarded to experience and qualifications, 35% with the approach, and 40% of the budget. This run really came down to the approach, 35%. As indicated in the report, the 2 consultants, the prices are within $1,000. So it came down to the approach, and under the approach, mainly the quality of the consultant's approach, as well as the framework and methodologies, is what it came down to. Very close in terms of being evaluated for those scores. Both companies did well in experience and qualifications. They're both well-known companies. They're in the top, just say 5 that normally bid on this type of work. So in reviewing it, I reviewed the submissions as well as my assistant Kim. And we looked at it, and Pesci and Associates was the proposal that was the more, I guess, complete and of good quality, and seemed to, you know, list what we needed. So we'd like to award it to Pesci and Associates. Like I mentioned, there's already funds in the budget last year. We had budgeted $25,000. Our cost is under 25, so there's no additional increase this year's budget to accommodate the study. It's already a line item. So yeah, so my recommendation is proceed with Pesci and Associates for $24,500 plus HST.
Thank you. Just
Just a question, when you, obviously you looked at both, what's their timeline for both of them?
We set the timeline.
Okay.
So as well in this report, I've given a copy of our RFP, just if you want to dig a little deeper in it, but we set the timeline in July. So,
Time is the essence.
yeah.
Any further comments or questions? Okay, yes, this has been, it's an item that goes back to previous council. It's an outstanding, previous CAO. So it's an outstanding item of many years, and so it's important that we address this item. And on that note, I'm going to you to put forward the.
Mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Chapman and seconded by Councillor Kelly. The Council for the Municipality of East Ferris accepts the recommendation from the CAO Treasurer contained in report number CAO 2023-03 and award the pay equity and compensation review to Pesci and Associate Human Resource Consultants at the price of $24,500 plus HS.
All in favor? Okay, Carrie, thank you so much.
You can take it off your work.
The whiteboard?
Yeah.
But I don't have a whiteboard. It's an internal.
Oh, it's an internal
Yeah.
system. Notice of, so bylaws, we have one bylaw. And yes, so this one was a bit of a surprise, this particular bylaw. Does someone care to just explain it?
I can speak a bit about it. We had placed it in a weekly report, didn't we?
We did,
Yes. So what happens with the retail business holiday act is municipalities can pass a bylaw to be exempt from this act, whereas our little local stores, like you have your Parents Fresh Mart, you have Lucky the Quickie, where that would give them access to remain open because they're under a certain amount of square footage, and they sell the necessities under the Business Retail Act. And every year we get a letter from Parents Fresh Mart and also from Lucky 13 asking permission to be open throughout the holiday weekends. because they are required to get permission from the municipality for their LCBO licensing. So as a rule of thumb, the municipality of East Ferris always took that on as an administrative duty, and the letter was always provided to the retail business owner. So in looking at it further, I discovered that we do have the power to pass the bylaw exempting the municipality from the retail business hours. And this is where this bylaw will come in place. So anybody, like you would take, you have Carol's Fresh Mart, they'll be allowed, they can sell gas, they can sell their sundries in the store. They'll still be able to sell their LCBO, their quickie, they'll be able to stay open. We geared it based on the business that are in East Ferris. And for the same, like if you look at Mr. Al's garage, what's his garage name? Al.
East Ferris Auto.
Like, he does sell vehicles. You wouldn't be able to sell a vehicle, but he could repair somebody's vehicle driving by a tourist or somebody that breaks down. He'd still be able to do this under the bylaw that the municipality is free.
Basically, if we don't have a bylaw, all the businesses have to follow the provincial act. So we could actually go on to stipulate what hours they're open, things like that. So we have the authority to do that. So basically, the passing this bylaw, they don't have to get a letter from us annually anymore. They can basically show proof of the bylaw if they were ever questioned.
We're not reinventing the wheel. All of this
No,
bylaws,
no, no.
right?
Yeah, no, this bylaw is not a bylaw that was created. It was a bylaw that came from, Harrison has the same bylaw, the township of Russell has the same bylaw. And I spoke to their bylaw enforcement officers, and yeah, it's just a standard bylaw.
Okay. There's still the 4 holidays that they're not allowed to work.
They can though, in our bylaw, they can. There's some 4
If they're part of the exception.
non-permissible holidays, but in our bylaw, we stipulate the non-permissible holidays, but like your little store or your quickie way, they are exempt from that section 3, the whole section 3 of our bylaw, which is the operating hours. And it also, the Employment Standard Acts still remains in effect. Like, you know, when we have your employees, they have to get paid a certain amount of money, that all stays.
So it's viewed as for emergency purposes, it's viewed for tourism purposes, and it's a practice that has been in existence in our municipalities. For many years, we've just dealt with it differently, now we're going to standardize it in certain sense. Further questions or comments? Okay, proceed.
I require a mover and a seconder, moved by Deputy Mayor Roymaker and
Carried.
Councilor Kelly. Whereas council for the municipality of East Ferris deems it expedient to pass 3 readings of the following bylaw in this session, being hereby resolved that a bylaw to require that retail business establishments in the municipality of East Ferris close to the public on certain days be read the first, second, and third time passed and numbered 2023-17, and that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk and sealed with the seal of the corporation.
All in favor? It's all carried, thank you.
And another just point for council, that if we were to have a Walmart that would come in and build in East Ferris, well, they wouldn't be able to stay open on the weekends or on the long weekends or statutory holiday because they don't meet the criteria of the sizes of buildings. Yeah.
We thought it was a good comment. Thank you, Madam Clerk, good job. As all I know, we moved to correspondence and information items. Deputy Mayor Riacros, anything that you would like to touch on?
3 things. I think with the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, they're talking about a 60-day consultation and having a provincial planning statement, and I thought we should engage in that. Especially when I was looking at it, sort of touching on the care economy, our ECEs, and housing, affordable housing should be part of that statement, I think. So that was some things that I had thought about that. So I know that we've talked about the school and its capacity issues, and the township of Chisholm has put together a resolution. I know we have a letter that we've sent, but supporting Chisholm in their resolution. And then, again, the property line and road allowance letter that we got from Melody and Christopher Content. To address that.
Mhm. And maybe just while we're on that, Melody and Christopher Contown, I think overall quickly, we, council members feel that we may need some more information. So on that note, we will refer to our staff to better, to meet, get with the citizens and better appreciate what the issue is. So I think that's a good comment that you brought forward there. And so, yes, I think the idea of the statement, is that something we could work on together as a council, maybe see what we might be able to pull together and circulate maybe in the next,
For the MMAH.
yes, would that be all right? That we looked at that, well, if every member of council could maybe take a look at the letter and we'll draft something and circulate it and see,
Are you drafting it or?
I was thinking of maybe starting a draft and then putting it out to my colleagues for their additions, omissions, and then the staff as well from there.
Sure.
Yeah, we could, okay, so yeah, I think unless you wanted to take a crack at it, because you raised it, Deputy.
No, I'm
Yeah.
excited to see it. Let's do it.
Okay, we'll work together, we'll all work together. Okay. Well, I'll start it. It's like, I know you sing a song when it starts, if we don't know where we'll finish, well, we'll start it. We'll get a good letter on behalf of our citizens. And Township of Chisholm, yes, it's funny because I did get a contact from a reporter who said Chisholm put forward a resolution, whereas your resolution municipality of Stairs. So on that note, it's true, we drafted a letter, but is there, how do we could provide a resolution of support for, this, we would have both a letter and a resolution, so it would give more strength to our position.
Yeah.
That'd be all right for
The next council, that would be ready.
Thank you, well, good comment. So that leaves for Councillor Kelly and Councillor Champagne, one item that we haven't touched on.
Unless we make it up, make up. the new one.
Of the MH stuff.
The time,
So you'll notice there's a lot of stuff about tenancy and residential tenant act and landlord tenant board. But one of the things that's actually buried in there is proposed amendments to the site plan control legislation. So council will probably remember that one of the things that we were primarily concerned about with Bill 23 was that the province amended site plan control rules so that we weren't able to use site plan control when there were 10 or fewer units. So in this actual piece of legislation, they proposed a change to allow municipalities to do it for shoreline properties now, which is what we wanted and which is what basically every other municipality wanted. So it's a funny place to have it stuck into this residential tenancy side of the bill, but that is what they're proposing and I expect it to pass. So we should be able to start using site plan control for shoreline protection again.
You bring up a good point, and it's probably something we should even put in the letter to say, thank you for doing that, and we support that. Right, just to hammer it.
very well said.
When we get this.
No, so I think it's not per se. It's not something.
So we had written to, respect to our concern for, site plan control, so that's good. I think it is important to.
Okay, so it'd be important, Mr. Curtin, that you take a good look at the letter as we draft it, and we'll look for your guidance for sure. So I think that pretty well covers all of the items on the correspondence. Other comments, Councillor Kelly?
Oh, I'm fine, thank you.
Yeah. Good night. Eric.
Yes. I can see people's lips moving. I can't hear a word.
Okay. I think it's all good. We've got
Majority.
majority. So say, Bob,
Very good.
I'm gonna
The painkillers are working.
we will move to action items. And so, Madam Clerk, I turn it back to you.
Thank you. This is a resolution for support from the last council meeting. I required for in a seconder. So by Deputy Mayor Royaker and seconded by Councillor Kelly. Whereas Enbridge recently made an announcement of their intention to begin charging third-party contractors and other utilities $200 plus applicable taxes for utilities located where field locate is required. And whereas third-party contractors include Ontario municipalities, and whereas these locate requests are only required as Ontario municipalities have allowed utilities to use municipal right-of-ways at no charge to the utility. And whereas this announcement of new downloaded costs will negatively impact the budgets of Ontario municipalities. And whereas if Enbridge is successful in implementing the new charges, a precedent is set for other utility companies to also begin charging for locates. Be it hereby resolved that the municipality of East Ferris strongly opposes these utility locates costs being downloaded to Ontario municipalities by Enbridge Gas or other utilities, and that the province of Ontario, Ontario's Ministry of Public and Business Service Delivery, make it clear that all these costs must be borne by the utilities themselves, and further that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to Ministry of Public and Business Service Delivery, Kaylee Rashid, Minister of Infrastructure, Kinga Surma, Minister of Energy, Todd Smith, Premier Doug Ford, MVP Vic Fideli, the Association of Ontario Road Supervisors, and Association of Ontario Municipalities.
Just have one question. Who knows about this?
Mr. Boucher, so this is the issue of the utility, having to call for locate and particularly opposing the fees that are being downloaded. And so, I think this is something you're aware of through AORS.
There's some communication to AORS because one of the things that's been raised is the concern about the waiting time. So there's been a lot of changes. We get a lot of changes from Ontario locates, a lot of news requirement training. It's an ongoing situation. So this is a bit.
Well, my question is, when you call one call, okay, there's no charge when one call does it, which is through, what's sort of one call, but who does it here?
I don't know the person, but it's
we get them all the time, that Nortel, GTEL. So
covers.
there's no charge to them, so are they saying right the way they got it right now, GTEL going to get back? Then for the charge on the municipality?
I would have to read the specifics. I'm not.
So they're concerned that this is setting a precedent.
Yeah,
That if once one utility starts to charge for locates, that it will spread to all of the other utilities, that they will now insist
Right.
on having a charging. So that's the concern and that's what we're voting in favor
Okay.
of stopping it, so that none of the utilities have that opportunity to do so. And,
I'm still confused. I'll read up on it. Just so confused because you call one call, GTEL does, there's no charge. Are they saying now that Enbridge is gonna back charge them? Because they represent, GTEL represent, Enbridge.
wait, so that's exactly it, that eventually that this is what could happen, that, yeah. So that's the concern.
Okay,
Right, so did we vote yet? No, okay, okay, all in favor? Okay, so thank you so much. And, c'est bon, good job. Are you still a member as well, Mr. Boucher, active member of AORS, yeah?
Yeah, yes.
So this continues to be a concern for us as a municipality, so you can, within AORS, to continue to advocate against all those issues you mentioned, costs, timelines, as you said, can be very long and lengthy, that's all very good. Right.
Yeah, it's a pretty complex topic, but correct.
They all, And we come to the Phenom conference and the current needs are, tonight this is a matter of, do we cancel our council meeting of May 9th because of Phenom? And so the understanding is that at this point that there are 2 members of council that are going to Phenom, of which one member is coming back on the Monday, and the other member could potentially come back on the Tuesday. Personally, on behalf of council, I would just like to express a concern, not a concern, but I feel that we really need, and our CEO would really like us to be able to get our budget in the month of May. That's very important to us. And, you know, we're already behind and we've got a lot of issues that are coming forward. So with that thought in mind, so it's not a negative, it's just that the municipality has a busy agenda, so we need to make a point. So for me, it's about that. If we need to have that council meeting for a budget meeting, I say, let's do that. But at this point, it's just keep schedule in the need we needed for budget deliberations or business regular company.
They can do it by,
Wait, you can do by Zoom, exactly. You know? So with that thought, we're suggesting that we not cancel. And Councilor Kelly, I know you're a representative on Phenom, I just want to make sure that you're okay with that.
I'm fine with it. Yes, we've got a lot on our plate, and May is the 5th month of the year. We should be well into what we're not into yet. So I'm all in favor of times of the essence. And besides that, we've got negotiations next week leading into the conference. So Tuesday's an ideal day to bring everybody up to date on where we stand. Don't you agree, Jason?
Sorry, what was that? Yes.
Right. Okay. No, I'm in favor of it. Thank you.
And so Councilor Champagne, if you would be, it would be,
Yeah, you're not here, you'll chime in.
if I do, okay. So we can scratch that, and we move to approval of accounts payable.
Mover and seconder, please. Moved by Councilor Champagne and seconded by Deputy Mayor Earlier. That council approved the general accounts for the municipality of East Terrace as indicated in the check register dated April 25th, 2023, in the amount of $491,229.26.
All in favor? C'est bon, Carrie, thank you so much. There being no other business, we are going to proceed in camera. Councilor Kelly, I see your hand up. We do proceed. Go ahead.
I've got 2 short items. Thank you. One is, are we still planning on putting an electronic sign out in front of our new offices, the same as we have in front of the community center? Because it's an ideal way of communicating special events. That's one. The second one is, I haven't measured it, but I think the entrance to the medical center is narrower than the exit to the medical center. But if they're the same distance, and I haven't measured them, as I say, but if they are, then I think we need a guardrail on the Ashtabula side of the entrance. Because if somebody misses the entrance, they're going down a 6 or 8 foot ditch. And I was there today, and I think it's going to be an issue. If someone misses that turn, we've got a problem, and they've got a big problem. So I think it's something we could look at, please.
Items that we will need to start to consider. The electronic sign is something that we, at this discussed at the meeting on. So it's an open item.
Very good. Okay, thank you. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Kelly. And it is true that we did go to the center and exit. It does help to control the flow of traffic. Now we are trying to do it. Take a note.
On that note, we move to in camera.
Mover and a seconder, moved by Councillor Champagne and seconded by Councillor Mayor. That this meeting proceeds to in-camera session at 7:20 PM under section 239, bracket 2 of the Municipal Act, in order to address a matter pertaining to personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal and local boards, employees, labor relations, or employees negotiations.
C'est bon? C'est bon? En favor?